We'll start there on the 6 and 360, the top headlines from the weekend. The Chargers had 5 takeaways from Jacksonville and came away with just 20 points total off of those 5 turnovers. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence has an awful performance. That what could have been, and I think you would agree, a career-defining moment for him.
For 2 years
on the flip side, where you're like, man, this guy is not with it. You know, he can't handle the top pressure. And instead, he remained a leader on the sideline. 3 picks in the first quarter alone. Disastrous. And he flipped it around. They got that score right before half. And then the Chargers never reached the red zone again after that muff punt that put them on the 6-yard line. They only gained a yard there, and they end up kicking the field goal. I will remember the game more about Lawrence's second half. But really, this is about now it's Justin Herbert instead of Trevor Lawrence. I feel like we have surpassed the discussion of Herbert or Lawrence, where Lawrence figured it out, and meanwhile Herbert couldn't. And that's part of the issue. The bigger issue, though, is the coaching performance and whether or not Staley's going to keep his job.
Yeah, and I know our guy Jordan Schultz, who we'll have on tomorrow, I believe, he's reporting that all signs are he's going to be retained. And a lot of this is because of finances. Chargers are one of the, you can't claim poverty as an NFL owner right now, but they're one of the poorest franchises in the NFL, the least liquid franchises.
Right, yeah.
A lot of reports about Josh McDaniels being safe in Vegas with the Raiders for the same reason. I just never bought them as a true player for Sean Payton for that reason, because of what it's going to cost to sign Sean Payton. I didn't think that would be the most likely scenario. Certainly with the quarterback, you would think that it is. Hutton, I'm going to remember this.
They would also know if Sean Payton's truly interested.
Yeah, I'm talking about pulling off the trade, paying him, all of those things. I'm not saying Sean Payton wouldn't be interested in the Chargers if the money was the same as everywhere else.
Well, so
I don't know, but if we're hearing reports that money's an issue and that's why Staley's coming back, then they're not going to go all in on paying Sean Payton and firing him and paying him whatever he's owed also, and his staff.
And it's going to end up being a mid to late round first pick, according to Sean Payton, who's told Colin Cowherd about an hour ago that Mickey Loomis, they met, the general manager of New Orleans, and they're looking for a mid to late first round pick in exchange for the contract of Sean Payton. So he's positioning himself to get back in. He's already talked with Denver last week in Los Angeles. This week in New York, he will speak with Carolina owner David Tepper. And the thought is if McCarthy loses tonight, Dallas will be in the mix as well. The Bengals, what a game last night between Cincinnati and Baltimore, and the play where Huntley is reaching for the goal line, and it turns into a 98-yard return for a touchdown. That's one of those plays that felt like, to me, Chad, the Rams of last year in the playoff run, where they made at least one big play late that sealed it. They had 3 straight games in the postseason of winning by 3 points. The first team to win the Super Bowl with that short of a margin, and actually go on to win the title. Cincy feels like that team to me. The other teams are turning it over at a higher rate, or they can't get the big stop. The team that had San Francisco too, but Cincy, with how they're coming up with the big moment plays, to me, this is one of those that you just get over the hump, and now they can play their offense. Last night was about defense.
And I know we're going to talk about Buffalo, but I kind of feel the opposite way about the Bills right now, the way they're playing. I don't think Cincy played well last night.
No.
And they found a way to do it. They went from, with the next-gen stats, they went from a 46% chance of winning to that one play with a 98-yard run back to an 87% chance winning when it went the other way for a touchdown.
And tied at 17 at the time.
Really dumb. J.K. Dobbins is right to speak out against the play callers. He is absolutely – a lot of times people will crush someone for being this honest, but when he says, I'm averaging 5.8 yards a carry, I need more carries.
At 13.
When Lamar Jackson's not here, I need to be the guy. I'm tired of sitting back and not speaking up on that. We had 3 cracks at it from the 2 or 3 yard line. I don't get one touch. And that's how the game essentially ends, is your quarterback going Superman for no reason. That's not the play call, by the way. It was going to be the old Reggie Bush push from behind where he just craters the ball, and then you shove him into the end zone that we see all over football now. And instead, he tries to play Superman, gets it knocked out, goes the other way. That's so much less of a great play by Cincinnati and such a dumb play by a backup quarterback. We're going to debate on whether or not the starting quarterback could have played or should have played also. But, man, I come away from that game, Hutton, not feeling good about the Bengals and the way they played. I mean, yes, they came up with a lucky moment where the ball bounces right to a defensive end. But other than that, I don't really know what to feel good about them just with that one performance.
Well, they're doing enough, right? The mistakes by Buffalo are continuing to be a trend. The mistakes by Cincinnati, you can say, is a one-off in the explanation. I think that's the difference between the two. Where you've got Josh Allen, who's now thrown 16 interceptions. He's lost 6 fumbles. They allow teams to stay in ball games with them that teams have no business sticking around with. Only the Colts and the Texans turned it over more than Buffalo this season. And the Bills did it again yesterday to Miami, and the Dolphins stuck around. Now, ultimately, I think a good quarterback, just an average quarterback, wins that game for Miami. Because late in the game, Miami also had their own problems. But they had no business sticking around with Buffalo, and the Bills nearly dropped it late and allowed Miami to be the true Cinderella of the opening weekend.
I think Mike McDaniel in that game went from, this may be one of the greatest playoff coaching performances in history. If you go to Buffalo and you win with Skylar Thompson as your starting quarterback and they're scoring as many points as they did, to what in the hell is Miami doing on that final drive? It went quickly to that. The false starts, the delay of games.
The down issue.
McDaniel having to come out and say, we screwed it up. I thought it was a first down. It was 4th and 1. I was told by someone reliable that we picked up the first down. Come to find out we didn't. And that's where they took the delay of game on that play. Really unfortunate for Miami. And I'm watching that thinking of all the publicity with Damar Hamlin and this team that's become America's team, the Buffalo Bills. If you don't have a dog in the hunt, you're going with the Bills right now to win the Super Bowl. If they would have lost that game, the way they're up 17-0 and rolling, they fall behind 24-20. The Dolphins give themselves a chance the ball late. I'm thinking, not like this, Bills. But they found a way too. But I think in large part, I look at both these last 2 games we discussed, and I think it says so much more about backup quarterback, bad clock issues with coaches, backup quarterback, one horrible, dumb play by the backup quarterback that completely swung the game where it was in their control. It's so much more about them than the opponent. But now as we start to progress in the week and preview that game, it's all about the opponent as Bills and Bengals get ready to go head-to-head.
Yep, and now we get the game that they postponed, that they took off the board altogether with the no contest. The matchup, Cincinnati on the road against Buffalo this weekend. Kansas City, with the bye, will be hosting Jacksonville. And on the flip side, the Giants are the road team that people are acting surprised New York won this game. This was a great regular season game earlier, about a month ago. And they lost that one in Minnesota on a 62-yard field goal as time expired. The Giants, led by Daniel Jones, have been incredible. They are finding ways with a coaching staff that's brand new in year one, with this crew that everyone's pointing at Gettleman, who put this crop of players together that have not been making it work. And they're finding ways to beat good teams. The Vikings aren't great, and I don't know why Kirk Cousins is throwing for a 3-yard pickup on 4th down and 8. But, Chad, this is not like it was Minnesota's not Jacksonville. It's not a 9-win team. They are 11-0 in one-score games, and now they're 11-1 because the Giants found the clutch moments with Daniel Jones, who was outstanding, and Saquon Barkley, who continues to earn another contract just like Jones is doing.
Sometimes it is just as simple as your luck runs out. And I think for Minnesota, who's a very good team, but they were very fortunate to be 13-4 and very lucky in a number of games, and their luck finally ran out in this game. Daniel Jones, we've been discussing his future now moving forward. He is becoming not just a competent quarterback, a really good quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. First guy to ever pass for over 300 yards, throw 2 touchdowns, and rushed for over 70 yards in an NFL playoff game in history is Daniel Jones after yesterday. He's the leading rusher in that game, a game featuring Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook. Daniel Jones is your leading rusher for the game. Terrific performance for him. Maybe the biggest stat in the game, no turnovers for Daniel Jones. Big win for the Giants. I think it's going to be a really good game with them and the Eagles playing on Saturday night.
Who was your favorite quarterback performance of the weekend?
Daniel Jones. I think the most interesting performance is Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going to say the best because of the way it started, but that was the craziest flip-flop of performance from first half to the second half. But Daniel Jones to me was, not that it's surprising that he played well, but that he played that well is surprising.
Brock Purdy for me, because I think we're witnessing an emergence of a late round pick that has this storybook type career. The guy is you cannot rattle him. That was the third time that Seattle's played the 49ers, and they had seen Purdy once before. And late in that game, he stepped up and made some massive plays. Now, they got plenty of talent around him, and the defense is the best in the league. But, Chad, this guy is a leader. And I don't know how you don't find those qualities earlier in the draft. It's beyond me why he had to wait until the final pick of the draft in April to get his shot. And credit Shanahan. This is why whenever Trey Lance was drafted at number 3, we said, oh, he's going to be great because he's going to be paired with Kyle Shanahan. And turns out it's the 7th-round pick, not the 1st-round pick, that everyone's going to be clamoring about when the postseason run is over. And I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
You know, it really is incredible to watch this guy. And maybe the most impressive play of the game, I'm watching live, it was an incomplete pass where he scrambles away from pressure and throws it on a dime. I'm thinking he's going to throw the ball away. He gets crushed on the pass. It's right to, I think, Ayuk in the corner of the end zone, who I don't know how he doesn't catch it.
He does everything but catch it.
He's looking down at his feet to make sure he's in bounds and drops the ball as he's catching it open in the back of the end zone. But terrific effort from Brock Purdy. I was seeing a number of people speculating about Brock Purdy being a possible trade to where is he the answer for some teams that are quarterback needy, because the 49ers are going to have to invest in Trey Lance, right? And I'm thinking, no. Are you watching the same quarterback that I'm watching versus what little we've seen from Trey Lance? Trey Lance is the guy who's going to be moved. If anyone, it's not Brock Purdy right now. And Hutton, I agree with you. This is the start of something with Purdy in this league and with this 49ers team. It seems like a match made in heaven right now, and this dude's got ice water in his veins. It's amazing to watch a guy who experienced a lot of success and failure in college and how that failure helped them grow. And this is the perfect example of where he comes from in Iowa State and experiencing equal parts success and failure and how it shaped him as a competitor. And we're seeing it right now with the 49ers.
3 quarterbacks with their first playoff win. That'll be a topic later this week on who that impacts the most. Awful story out of Alabama with their junior forward, Darius Miles, arrested yesterday, charged with capital murder following a shooting early Sunday morning in Tuscaloosa. He's one of 2 suspects charged. And the story goes, Chad, that these suspects, they walked up to a car and shot a woman in the car. He's taken into custody on yesterday, no bond. That's less than 24 hours after he had been ruled out for the remainder of the season with an ankle injury. And, I mean, this is horrifying. And it's something you don't see certainly as breaking news inside of college basketball coverage, right? You're flipping over to A&E and watching 48 first 48 or whatever that show is.
Well, immediately the Baylor basketball scandal came to mind where a player murdered another player on the team, and then eventually the coach was covering it up.
With the cover-up, yeah.
And that became the big scandal with Dave Bliss was the coach. That's what came to mind because it's so rare that you're talking about a capital murder being allegedly committed by a player on one of the top, not just any college basketball team. Alabama's the best team in the SEC. They may be the best team in the country right now. They are a legit national championship contender in college basketball. They are that good. And now Nate Oates is going to be dealing with one of the guys he brought to campus possibly murdered somebody. I mean, I don't – it's hard to even say If
Yeah,
you're
I
the
know.
coach of someone that you're dealing with that, Alabama immediately took his name off the roster. Immediately, you could not find his name right when this story came out. Very odd timing that he was away from the team for a couple weeks dealing with, quote, personal issues. Then he was back that day in their game, and he was on the bench but ruled injured with the ankle. And then
out for the year.
Late that night, this happens. Terrible story all around.